This is Donald Ware, host of Box to Row. Steve White of NFL Network joins me. We'll also talk NFL Conference Championships right here on Box to Row.
From Press Box to Press Row with Donald Ware, Saturdays at 9 a.m. on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Blue Naples Pizzeria in Kernersville is now hiring. Come work for one of the best Italian restaurants in the Triad. Currently hiring dishwashers, cooks, front cashiers, and more. Great hours, great pay. Give them a call at 336-993-7707 or stop by and inquire at 1519 Union Cross Road in Kernersville. Start working this week. Blue Naples Pizza.
You're listening to The Rundown.
They're missing some parts, but Clemson's had the number 1 or number 2 recruiting class in the country, it feels like, or at least top 5, like the past 4 or 5 years. So it's not like they don't have kids on the sideline waiting for an opportunity, like 4 and 5-star kids that we haven't heard about. Some talking heads out there have said, whoa, this Clemson team, they don't have T. Higgins, they don't have these wide receivers. What are they going to do? They're going to just plug in the next 2 guys.
Exactly, like they did the year before.
Yeah.
The year before when Mike Williams was there.
You don't win 10+ games a year for this will be like the 10th year in a row if they do it this year. You don't do that by depending on 1 or 2 guys and having to reload, and then 2 years later you're back. Clemson's been steady the whole time, from Sammy Watkins, before Sammy Watkins, DeAndre Hopkins.
Sure.
They have wide receivers. I don't even know what the names are going to be. I ain't even worried about that. Trevor Lawrence will find it. The Rundown with Desmond Johnson, Saturdays at 10 a.m. right here on Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
The wait is over. Simply Sonia's Southern Cuisine and Cocktails is now open. 3050 University Parkway inside the Best Western Plus Hotel. Open 7 days a week starting at 11 a.m. daily. Freshly made Southern cuisine with signature cocktails and lunch specials daily. The location for your next event with Simply Sonia's catering specials. Open now. Simply Sonia's Southern Cuisine and Cocktails. 3050 University Parkway inside the Best Western Plus Hotel in Winston-Salem.
You are locked into Tobacco Road Sports Radio, your home for Triad Sports.
And you know this, man.
Charlotte out of timeout. Here's Morning, the shot. Game over!
Who's going to get off? Here he comes. Here he comes. He's got him this time. It's going to be a drag race. Wow. They touch. Craven got him. Craven got him.
By Lundquist. Now Ponagorowski with it. 2-1 in front. Block there. Scramble for it there. They plug away at it. Still it's loose. Pump that by Hamilton. They score. It's over.
The runner at third, nobody out in the first and didn't score. Second and third, one out in the second and didn't score. Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run, and the Cardinals have won the game.
Welcome to The Score. Here's your host, Brett Wiseman.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Score with Brett Wiseman here on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Alex Wober, Michael Davis, our producer Desmond Johnson. I am here repping today the first place in the Sun Belt at 7-2. Appalachian State Mountaineers. No, there's no Sun Belt for hockey. This is just a hockey jersey that I bought from the club team, which reminds me, club hockey teams, these are their fundraising things. So just so you know, my name's on the back of it, but it's whatever.
It's a collector's edition.
Even though the Hornets are playing the Lakers, Michael and I made a deal that we would never wear our NBA gear on air again because the one time each of us have done it, our teams have stunk. So
that very night too. And so I hope you don't jinx our Mountaineers.
Well, they're not playing tonight, so hopefully that carries forth. But remains to be seen if that has any impact. I would like to start off by, how do I put this delicately. The Green Bay Packers failed miserably. Their fans, their stock owners, everybody, themselves. First of all you had to do was beat Jimmy Garoppolo and Matthew Stafford at Lambeau Field to get to the Super Bowl. That is a cakewalk. And you had it 10-3. You stop them on 4th and 1. Jimmy G is still just skating along in the group project playing Fortnite in the background, handing the ball to Deebo Samuel. You're holding him out of field goal range / the end zone every time down. You're getting the stops. How on God's green earth do you not score more than 10 points? I love Aaron Rodgers to death. But he crapped the bed in this game. He was terrible. He wasn't the reason that Green Bay lost this game. Everybody was bad on offense. Defense, that is the best I've seen Green Bay play defensively in a playoff game since I've been alive, or since the Super Bowl year, when they had the number 1 scoring defense with a bunch of people they pulled off the street. This is a team, a defense. You got Darius Smith back. He got a sack in that game. Jair Alexander played 15 snaps. He was a factor. You didn't have David Bakhtiari back on the offensive line. That shouldn't have made an impact because Josh Nijman had been there all year doing a whale of a job filling in at left tackle. Instead, you moved Nijman to left guard and you put Billy Turner in at left tackle, who hasn't played in 4 weeks. Matt LaFleur shouldered the blame for that and a lot of other decisions because it is his fault. And I like that he did what he didn't do what Bruce Arians did, and that was throw specific guys under the bus. Except for the special teams coach, who, as of right now, as I look at my phone, is still employed. Hopefully that changes. When you're 32nd out of 32 teams in special teams, that's embarrassing. And the Packers almost got away with it until the most crucial part of the game, when it decided to rear its head. They put a nose tackle in against the long snapper. Nobody thought to, shift blocking because somebody of Trent Williams' size was out there coming down the barrel and block the punt. No, nobody thought of that. Game-winning field goal attempt. 10 guys were on the field. You need 11. There are required 11 guys. You had 10. You had one job. Don't screw this up. You have home field advantage. All you have to do is beat Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay? That's all you have to do. And then worry about next week. You stopped the run, for the most part. You didn't score. You blundered in special teams. This season that was supposed to be magical and like this last dance and all that, forget it. It's a failure. It's a complete and total failure. No one in that organization should be appreciative of where they got because they didn't get where they were supposed to go. None of us as fans should be appreciative of what happened because we expected more and again got less. At this point, and I never thought I would hear myself say this, especially with Nathaniel Hackett, the offensive coordinator, going to take the Broncos job. I never thought I would hear myself say this. I don't care if Aaron Rodgers leaves. I don't. I'm beyond it. Do I think he's still the best quarterback in the game, not named Tom Brady? Yeah. Do I think he's still an MVP candidate and the MVP of the league right now? Yeah, absolutely. Am I okay if he moves on and the Packers go into a complete rebuild? Fine with that too. Because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of we're just a good regular season team. I'm sick of all right, 14-3 or 13-4 or whatever. Get home field. The Lambeau mystique is gone. It's gone. The 49ers have proven that. So I'm done with all of it. If we blow it up or if we build around Aaron, I'm good. Just do something. I don't care. Make a move. Let's get to the other games on this past divisional weekend. Bills Chiefs. unquestionably, I think, the greatest football game I've ever witnessed. And I even turned to my girlfriend, Kiernan, when Mahomes had 13 seconds on the clock, and I said, that's too much time. And she said, there's no way. I was like, I've seen Aaron Rodgers do it with 16 seconds. Patrick Mahomes can do it with 13. He did it. But, and I'll rant a little bit more, the fact that Josh Allen put on a Superman cape for that entire fourth quarter and didn't get to touch the ball because of a piece of government metal, a coin toss, he lost the game. He never got to touch the football. That's terrible. And this is not the first time it's happened. And it's not going to be the last time this happens if the rules stay the same way. All the credit in the world to Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, for pulling that game out. But you can't sit here and tell me that if Josh Allen had a chance to touch the ball, the Bills would have tied that thing up and maybe sent it to double overtime and maybe further.
Well, of course, Brett. Of course they would. I think a lot of people that watch NFL, players, coaches, NFL PA, Players Association, they know that there has to be a change. They know they have to change the setting of overtime rules because, one, it's really not that entertaining unless the other team gets a chance to score like we want. And it's heartbreaking, like you said, for Bills Mafia, for Josh Allen, for everyone a part of that team. There's nothing they really could have done to ignore the coin toss. Basically, what I'm trying to say is there's nothing they could have done. They could have, maybe did a little pooch kick to the 10-yard line, knocked 2 seconds off for Patrick Mahomes. But Patrick Mahomes is that guy. He's that guy. He was going to do it with 10 seconds on the board, with 11 seconds, 12 seconds, 13 seconds, whatever it may be. But I think we're all in agreement here. Things have to change, and I think a majority of NFL viewers and players, coaches, whatever you name it, know that there has to be change to the overtime rules.
Yeah, the NFL doesn't have the best overtime rules, and if this game doesn't set it in motion of at least considering a change, and really the only change you have to make is, okay, Chiefs go down, score a touchdown on the opening drive. You let the Bills possess the ball and see if they can match that touchdown, and then it's sudden death.
Exactly. You play the whole overtime. That's the best idea I've heard was to play the whole overtime as if it was regulation football. For years I've clamored for it to be like the college overtime rules, but now those have changed. The entire idea when the NFL changed to the current format from just straight sudden death was, okay, if you hold the other team to a field goal, then you get the ball back if you lose the coin toss. But if you give up a touchdown, it's still over. If the other team picks you off and runs it back, it's over. If they get a safety, it's over.
And let's also talk about some of these. I'm missing the names off the top of my head right now, but a few players that tweeted, there was a few analysts that tweeted, have a better defense, or defense wins championships, or that's on the defense. That is 100% not on the defense. You can't blame the defense.
The Bills secondary let their team down. Mm-hmm. They did not execute when it mattered most. Yes. That game was never dependent on either defense. Mm-hmm. That was a game in which, much unlike the Packers 49ers game, where it was nip and tuck, where it was you had to get stop after stop after stop after stop. This was a game of literally whoever had the ball last and scored last was going to win. Whoever got the last stop was likely going to win. It's one of those one-stop games. If you get that one stop, you win the game. The Bills did not get that one stop. It came down to that.
Let's look at the history of coin tosses. If you've seen the graphic that's been circling social media.
I've seen it, yep.
What's that one team that won?
New Orleans.
Well, New Orleans was the team that
Sorry, the
lost.
Rams. The Rams.
Exactly. That's the one only time where the team that won the coin toss did not win in overtime. And I think
that's
if you
just
look
in the past 10 years.
Exactly. If you look at that, you just have to know. You have to. Roger Goodell, wherever he is, wherever he's sitting or eating M&Ms out of a jar, whatever he may be doing, he has
Probably
to know.
Snickers. I got a lucrative endorsement deal.
He has to know that this format of overtime can't keep going. Something has to happen, whether it be what Michael said with giving the opposing team another possession or extending the overtime time.
That is all that needs to happen. The other team just needs a chance to touch the ball. If that means you get a stop and it's over, yeah. If you play out the whole overtime period, yeah, that's the most similar to regulation football. If you make it a 2-point conversion contest, that's fine too. Just give the team that loses the coin toss an opportunity to touch the ball so that a playoff game is not decided by a piece of metal.
You definitely can't.
That's all we're asking.
You definitely can't play the entire overtime period. As a fan, I don't want to see another 45-minute quarter, which with the timeouts and the reviews that would happen, it would take an extra hour. That's putting
if it was those
wear
two
and tear
guys,
on the players.
I'd love to see 7 full regulation overtimes. I'd sit there for 18 hours and watch those two guys slinging around against each other. To be brutally honest,
you just got to give both quarterbacks the opportunity to possess the ball and see what happens.
But it's very similar to the Rams-Saints game with, there was plays in the regular, 4 quarters that affected for sure. But, that's just a what if. It came down to overtime, and that's what it is. Josh Allen, I love the move Josh Allen made when they asked him if he would like to participate in the Pro Bowl. He said, peace out. Pedal to the metal. No, thank you. I don't want to play in the Super Pro Bowl. I'm worried about getting a ring on this finger. He's looking at getting the Bills that first championship. They don't care about Pro Bowls over there in Buffalo. They're looking to win football games.
We need to petition and make the Pro Bowl just a flag football game.
We need to make the Pro Bowl just a Madden tournament. To be quite honest, the most entertaining part of the Pro Bowl is the skills competition where they play dodgeball. That's more entertaining than the actual game, to watch NFL players throw dodgeballs at each other. The honor of going to the Pro Bowl, and I've told you guys this, the honor of going to the Pro Bowl, the notoriety of being named to the team is where it should stop. That should just be the all-pro team. Don't even play the game. No other all-star game happens after the season, and no other all-star game matters less in any other sport. Heck, the MLS All-Star Game, where they put their best players from the entire league up against somebody from the Premier League and lose 8-4 and just get boat raced, is more entertaining than the Pro Bowl. Period.
I agree. Yeah. And I think a lot of NFL players know that too, that the Pro Bowl is a joke. It's not really obviously.
And they don't treat it like a real game. They don't play it like a real game. The only person I've ever seen in the past 20 years is when Sean Taylor tried to kill the punter.
But, when's the last time a player got injured in the Pro Bowl? Not that I want someone to get injured in the Pro Bowl. Exactly. Nobody's risking it. Where we're seeing in the NBA All-Star Game, we're seeing alley-oops, crazy half-court shots, which, of course, they're not playing, to really win the game. They're playing it for more entertainment. But, with the late Kobe Bryant, when that year happened, that All-Star Game was amazing.
Right.
When they added the extra quarter. So, yeah, NFL,
we'll have that again.
They're lacking.
We'll have that again this year, and we'll look at the starters as well as the teams for the NHL All-Star Game as well. Got to get in the break here. When we come back, we'll preview Championship Sunday and tell you a story about how the Rams plan to stop Niners fans from buying tickets. Backfired big time. Remember, you can also interact with the show on Facebook. Just comment, ask a question. You can comment on Twitter or the YouTube stream as well. Get involved. We'd love to hear from you guys. We'll be right back here on The Score.
You are listening to The Score with Brett Wiseman on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
The wait is over. Simply Sonia's Southern Cuisine and Cocktails is now open. 3050 University Parkway inside the Best Western Plus Hotel. Open 7 days a week starting at 11 a.m. daily. Freshly made Southern cuisine with signature cocktails and lunch specials daily. The location for your next event with Simply Sonia's catering specials. Open now. Simply Sonia's Southern Cuisine and Cocktails, 3050 University Parkway, inside the Best Western Plus Hotel in Winston-Salem.
You are locked into Tobacco Road Sports Radio's TGIF lineup.
Cause it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do.
I ain't set this up. I ain't know nothing about this. This is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Damn it.
You're welcome. TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Enter your softball team into the Diamond Stars Invitational March 19th and 20th at Springwood Park in Burlington, North Carolina. Age brackets are for 10 and up for a one-day event, 12 and up, and 14 and up. With Diamond Star events, you get more games, longer time limits, quality competition, and prizes to all champions. With Diamond Star events, get the tournament experience your players, coaches, and families deserve. For more information and to sign up, visit DiamondStarEvents.net.
Beamer Tire and Auto Repair, now with 3 locations across the Triad in High Point, Greensboro, and our new location in Kernersville. Beamer Tire and Auto offers full-service auto repair, all tire brands, free alignment checks, oil changes, and more. In Kernersville, check out the no appointment needed Quick Lube shop. Check out their thousands of 5-star ratings via Google and Yelp. They care because they know that you can go anywhere. So try a shop with a beating heart, not a bottom line. Beamer Tire and Auto Repair. Visit us on Facebook or at beamertire.com.
We love sports.
Joe Louis, the greatest boxer ever lived.
Not only do we love sports, but we love to debate sports.
He was bad in Captain Clay. He bad in Sugar Ray. He bad in that. Who that? The new boy has. Mike Tyson look like a bulldog. He bad at him too. He done whipped Mike Tyson ass. He whipped all their ass.
For the best sports analysis in the Triad.
What about Rocky Marciano?
In-depth local coverage of your favorite schools and teams.
Let me tell you something. One fall, Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
And of course, the best sports debate in the Triad.
Big Joe Louis's ass.
Welcome to Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
You're welcome.
I don't know how old he was, but he got an ass whooped.
Welcome back to The Score with Brett Wiseman here on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
Shadow of Intent welcomes us back here on this Friday afternoon, January the 28th, here on The Score with Brett Wiseman alongside Michael Davis and Alex Wober and our producer Desmond Johnson. Before we preview in full what's going to be a fantastic championship Sunday, first I would like to give all the credit in the world to the Los Angeles Rams for saving everyone in America from seeing Tom Brady in another conference championship game or Super Bowl. We will all extend our eternal gratitude to Matthew Stafford. Not you, of course.
Not me.
Rams for America, except for Sunday, because I'm rooting for the 49ers, because as a de facto native St. Louis, and that wasn't actually a Rams fan, and has actually only been to St. Louis 3 times in my life. But given my entire family's from there, we don't like Stan Kroenke. So I would prefer the Super Bowl not take place with Kroenke's team in Kroenke land. If you need more proof that the Rams don't have fans, and you look back to that Week 18 game, where it looked a lot more like Levi's than SoFi, because there was a lot of red there, the Rams' effort to block 49er fans from buying tickets to this game majorly backfired. Here's the story. It comes from Jeff Eisenberg of Yahoo Sports. Lifelong 49er fan Shane Stern didn't want the Rams to get away with restricting ticket sales to buyers with credit cards only registered in the Los Angeles area. The Nashville Predators tried a similar thing with every other team in the NHL Central Division about 5 or 6 years ago, and it backfired. I know, because people I knew and family members bought Blues tickets with other people's addresses. So they would, go over it.
Brett, my dad is a member of the Bang Bang Niner gang, house divided for the Wobers. So it's going to be an interesting Sunday, to say the least. But I had a conversation with him earlier about the ticket issue. And if you are listening and you're an NFC West fan of any of those teams, besides the Rams, you know how just this is typical Rams move right here. They're not a classy team. They never have been a classy team. And this is part of them. They will do this for years because this is just who the Rams are. They're just not classy. And the funniest part about it is you do realize StubHub exists, correct, Los Angeles?
Yep.
Because
resale
that's
market,
exactly what's going to happen. You blocking 49er fans from buying tickets on your website isn't going to matter. They're going to go to other websites and find other ways to get to the game.
Well, here's where it gets interesting. This gentleman, Shane Stern, he posted on Twitter that he would happily buy everyone's tickets using his Thousand Oaks, California billing address, which is a Los Angeles area billing address, if 49ers fans Venmoed him money in advance. He didn't check his phone until a few hours later that day. He went to the mall with his wife and daughter. He found an onslaught of messages and a boatload of money in his Venmo account from 49ers fans. They told me where they wanted to sit, and they let me know, this is a quote from him, told me where they wanted to sit and let me know that they were ready to send the money. I took care of quite a few people before the Rams lifted the restrictions.
Well, I hope that doesn't end tragically, because if you are a fantasy football player, you would know that Venmo is actually starting to not allow transactions for fantasy football to go through because of their stance against, I guess, gambling and sports gambling and such.
Right.
So
plus also all three,
yeah.
the Venmo, the Cash App, and what's the other one, PayPal? I think you have to, if you make over $600 on your side hustle, you have to report that as taxes at the end of the year. You mentioned StubHub. They said yesterday that the NFC Championship is on track to be its best-selling NFL playoff game in its entire 22-year history of being a company. More than 3/4 of the tickets that have been purchased on StubHub have been to California residents. 43% of those residents live in Northern California. There you go. So
it's going to be...
It means more when you try to block fans from getting these things. It makes them want to go more.
It's going to be like 60-40 Rams, Niners probably, if I had to predict right now. But I love Deebo Samuel's tweet. He's been on Twitter actively these past few days, whether it be about his quarterback or the tickets sales that are happening. But with him putting that message out about the Rams blocking some Niners fans from buying tickets, like you said, Brett, it's going to make them want to go to the game more. They're going to be
and
outside.
It's going to make the Niners want to win the game more.
Exactly. And if they're not inside SoFi, they'll be in the parking lot for sure.
They'll be outside. And there's a lot of, kind of congregational area around that, because it's basically, they built it next to the old LA Forum, where the Lakers and Kings played up until they built, I refuse to call it what it is now, Staples Center. I'm not calling it Crypto.com Arena.
It will always be the Staples Center.
It would always be the Staples Center, and that's a disgrace to the city of Los Angeles to name it anything else. But there's a lot of congregational area. That's where the Clippers are going to build their arena, their Clipper-only arena, like Clipperville. They're going to make it like Toronto. And try and have something like that there. So there's already a lot of, open space out there. The Super Bowl is going to be there anyways. So yeah, if the Niners fans aren't inside, they're going to be out there. They're going to be in the bars in Los Angeles. They are going to invade Los Angeles. Niners fans travel well, period. So there were a fair amount of Niner fans at Lambeau where it was, 6 degrees and snowing.
And by the way, not to incite violence here, but there will be a lot of fights this Sunday at that game, and I can go ahead and book it, because you will be seeing videos of some angry Rams and Niners fans confrontations.
Well, these are the same two cities that house the Los Angeles Dodgers and the San Francisco Giants, who about every time they play, whether it's April or September, fans outside Dodger Stadium find a way to find the nearest guy in a Barry Bonds jersey and punch him in the throat. So there are endless videos on YouTube of Dodgers fans just unprovokingly attacking Dodgers or Giants fans out of nowhere. Guys wearing a Buster Posey jersey walking down the street at Chavez Ravine, boom, clocked him in the nose for no reason.
There must be something about Cali. Must be something about Cali. People are just on edge there, Brett.
What gave you the right? You're wearing an Oral Hershiser jersey. Calm down. He had 2 good seasons in the 80s.
It's going to look a lot like It's going to look a lot like the Royal Rumble in SoFi Stadium this weekend.
Hey, that's in St. Louis.
It is.
Good stuff. Yeah. But as for the game itself, it's a 6:30 kick. Rams are favored by 3.5. The over/under is 45.5. I'm rooting for the 49ers, and I'm always the guy that whoever beats my team, out of respect for them, I root for them going forward. I know that's a weird thing to do, but I also, and I rooted for the Rams last Sunday, even though I didn't want to because of Stan Kroenke. I wanted Tom Brady to lose more than I wanted the Rams to win, if that makes sense. I want Stan Kroenke to lose more than I want the 49ers to win and have Jimmy Garoppolo ride the coattails of Deebo Samuel and his defense to another Super Bowl.
Brett, you and I are.
I think it's going to happen,
though. If a team knocks out my team, and you and I both know how it felt to lose to San Francisco in the playoffs this year, me being a Cowboys fan, I do not want to see them have the success that I was like, man, we could have been that team. But I'm also torn because I don't necessarily want the Rams in the Super Bowl. They have, bought their way to a Super Bowl. Granted, they went all out and got Stafford. They traded for Von Miller. But Eric Weddle doesn't play a snap all season. And all of a sudden, playoffs hit, and he's like, you know what? I'm unretiring, and I'm joining the Los Angeles Rams. He's ring chasing. I don't want him to win a Super Bowl for that very reason.
It's like if J.R. Smith dropped out of North Carolina A&T and went and joined the Cleveland Cavaliers right now because they're third in the East.
I'll tell you what, though. God, I just hate talking about the Rams so much. I guess I can't say they're the equivalent, but they think they're the New York Yankees of the NFL, pretty much. I guess this season they think that they are. But just kind of highlighting on what you said about, 3.5 points. Was it 45 points, I think you said, was the total?
Yeah, it was the over-under, yeah.
As much as I hate this game, because I really do, and I probably won't be watching much of it.
It's 2 teams you absolutely despise.
Yeah.
Just like if the Bears and Vikings played each other for me in the NFC Championship game.
But
look, I don't think this is going to be anything like the Week 18 game where it was a score fest, only because LA went up 17-0 early. I think this is going to be a lot like the Green Bay game a week ago. This is going to be very defense-oriented. I don't think any team gets more than 3 touchdowns or maybe even 3 scores, period, however they come about. Quickly here, we got to get in the AFC Championship game. Joe Burrow serves as America's last hope to save us from Jackson Mahomes' Super Bowl luxury suite TikToks, which if you saw the one from the divisional round, I'm sorry. It made me want to gouge my eyes out. I am sad that person is related to the best quarterback in football, not named Aaron Rodgers / Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
A great deal.
And now they're recruiting another TikTok star, Juju Smith-Schuster, to come to the Kansas City Chiefs. So we're going to be seeing Jackson Mahomes doing some TikTok dances with Juju Smith-Schuster. We might get a chance to see them both do a TikTok dance on Sean Taylor's memorial again as well. So.
Oh, no. He went there.
Wow.
I was going to try not to go there, but he went there.
Alex went there.
See,
But
that's why everyone hates him, because he does stupid stuff like that. But Joe and Jamar, and I said this last week, both of those guys, Joe Burrow specifically, has shown so much maturity. And even after that game a week ago, just nobody expected them to go in there and beat the number 1 seed, and they did at the buzzer. And they shook it off post-game like they expected to do that the whole time. Kansas City's favored by a touchdown and a half, 7.5. The over-under is 54.5. That's incredibly generous. Look, I know it's Arrowhead, but if the Lambeau mystique can die, which, by the way, the Packers are 7-7 since 2002 in home playoff games. If the Lambeau mystique can die, the Arrowhead mystique can die. And if there's someone that could go in there and have the kahunas to do it, for lack of better phrasing, it's the cigar-smoking quarterback from Cincinnati.
Well,
that team feels that they've been disrespected the entire year, and they have, and they continue to be disrespected. They're disrespected by Vegas when that line comes out.
Yep.
They want to win this game. I think they can get it done.
How do you make it 7.5 points when this team, I know regular season doesn't have that much of an impact on the spread, but this team just beat Kansas City in the regular season, and you're going to give them 7.5 points? Go ahead and add more fuel to the fire, Las Vegas. But I'll tell you one thing, when Vegas does do something like this, it almost seems like a setup, and they know more than we do. And that's why people should be a little bit worried about taking the Bengals 7.5.
I'm not going to tell you to bet the Bengals. I am going to tell you this. I hope and I predict a 49ers-Bengals Super Bowl. Yes, you heard it here. A rematch of Super Bowl, what was it, 16 in the Silverdome? Yeah. You heard it here. I'm going to predict it right now. Bengals will win 31-28 on another Evan McPherson field goal at the buzzer.
Brett.
And in
Brett, we got to end the Cinderella story.
24-14 will be the Niners-Rams final. They'll hold the Rams to 14 points.
Brett, we got in the Cinderella run here. Like, they are going into Arrowhead. Look, Cincinnati has been impressive. I called them win the AFC North, and they beat Tennessee, which was impressive enough. But Tennessee and Kansas City are different for one reason: playoff experience. Mahomes has been in this situation. Mahomes is at home. The Chiefs have been in the situation. They've won Super Bowl. They know what it takes to get there. Joe Burrow, as mature as he is, and we knew this coming from LSU, and he has his buddy Jamar Chase, it's just going to be too much. Kansas City is going to be loud, and that defense is going to rattle them, and we're bound to see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. 49ers-Rams can be a toss-up. It's a divisional game. Nobody knows with that. The 49ers, when they play their ball efficiently, they can beat anybody, and we've seen that, Cowboys-Packers. But, dude, the Cinderella run ends here. It was really great while it lasted, but next week when we're on the show, we're going to look at Kansas City going to the Super Bowl.
I just think if there's any quarterback that goes into there as an underdog, that's a very small list of guys that have the guts and the gumption to not be afraid. There are a lot of teams that would go in there as young as this team is and be afraid. But what they've done all year, they haven't been afraid of anybody. Nobody. And they've continued and continued and continued to be disrespected. And I think that plays into it. I think the 49ers still play into this because they felt like they were disrespected going into Lambeau. And now they feel like they're at a disadvantage as the road team here in L.A. And you said it, when they play their brand of football, they can beat anybody in the league. And they've proven that. That was the one team, I think, if you were the Green Bay Packers, you did not want to play. And granted, it showed. So, look, I get it. You make some very good points about the Chiefs. They have the experience, but I just think if there's any team on the planet, any team in the league that can have the tenacity to go into Arrowhead and be unfazed by everything that they are walking into, it is the current Cincinnati Bengals. That's how I see it happening. And I'll probably be wrong, like I'm wrong with most predictions on this show, but who cares? I'm going with it. What do I have to lose at this point? My team's out of it anyways. All right, we got to get in the break here. When we come back here on The Score, we get to talk a little association. Hornets are hot again, and if you didn't hear the story that dropped this morning about Aaron Baines, you want to hear that. We'll talk about that as well as starters for the All-Star game coming up right here on The Score.
You are listening to The Score with Brett Wiseman on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Enter your softball team into the Diamond Stars Invitational March 19th and 20th at Springwood Park in Burlington, North Carolina. Age brackets are for 10 and up for a one-day event, 12 and up, and 14 and up. With Diamond Star events, you get more games, longer time limits, quality competition, and prizes to all champions. With Diamond Star events, get the tournament experience your players, coaches, and families deserve. For more information and to sign up, visit DiamondStarEvents.net. Kim Source Direct is a single source supplier. In business since 2007, they have over 80,000 products for customers just like you. Located in the heart of North Carolina, they supply cleaning products all throughout the Southeast. Whether you're a commercial business, office, or municipal building, looking for wholesale cleaning products, chemicals, cleaning equipment, or service, they've got you covered. Please reach out and start saving money today. Stop by their store open to the public and save. Kim Source Direct, 1207 South Park Drive in Kernersville. Give them a call at 336-515-9990. Order from the website at kimsourcedirect.com.
This is Donald Ware, host of Box to Row. Steve White of NFL Network joins me. We'll also talk NFL Conference Championships right here on Box to Row.
From press box to press row with Donald Ware, Saturdays at 9 a.m. on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Here at Tobacco Road Sports Radio, we ask the tough questions.
Hey, you got any left-handed footballs?
We're never afraid to tell you how we feel.
Oh, we look like the damn Bad News Bears.
We'll debate sports. We'll debate anything.
Man, you lying. You ain't never met Martin Luther King. Not the way out of me. Yes, he did. No, he didn't. Yes, he did. No, he did not.
No matter what, Tobacco Road Sports Radio has you covered.
I'm going to come right back at it. Soldier.
You're listening to Tobacco Road Sports Radio. You are locked into Tobacco Road Sports Radio's TGIF lineup.
Because it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do.
I ain't set this up. I ain't know nothing about this. This is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Damn it. Hey.
Thank you. You're welcome. TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Welcome back to The Score with Brett Wiseman here on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
We're back here on The Score with Brett Wiseman on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Brett Wiseman joined this afternoon by Michael Davis and Alex Wober. Steve Wiseman will be joining us later on in the program from his hotel room in Louisville, Kentucky, directly across from the world's second most famous arena, the KFC Yum Center, where Duke and Louisville will do battle tomorrow afternoon. We'll talk some ACC hoops with him. A reminder, you can interact with us, comment on the Facebook stream, the Twitter live broadcast, the YouTube stream. However you're listening or watching us right now, interact, ask us some questions. We definitely want to hear from you guys. Before we get into the rest of the NBA, I saw this story drop this morning, and I couldn't let it go without talking about it on the show today. From Brian Windhorst of ESPN. In case you've noticed, there's not been much heard from Aaron Baines, who is currently in his second year of a 2-year deal with the Toronto Raptors. He's been out all year with an injury that has been undisclosed until this morning, really. You have to go back to the Tokyo Olympics this past summer. The 2020, but actually 2021 Tokyo Olympics. Aaron Baines had to go to the bathroom between third and fourth quarters of the game against, I believe it was Italy. because he was supposed to guard Gallinari for most of that fourth quarter. Aussies were going to put him in to guard Gallinari and cut him off and, whatnot. He had to go to the bathroom. It's a long way there, apparently, in that arena in Tokyo. He left running so as to not miss the start of the fourth quarter. He was nowhere to be found. One of the staff members went to look for him. He found Aaron Baines in the locker room on a tile floor near the bathroom of the locker room. Baines, who's 6'10", by the way, was sprawled on the floor. There's blood on his uniform, and two deep, inexplicable puncture wounds, and I quote from the story from Windhorst, were in his upper arm. Team doctor was summoned. Paramedics. Baines was still groggy. He couldn't get himself up. Apparently, and it gets much worse, he didn't just trip and fall. There was something like legit going on here. They got team medical officials over there. They tried to get him to a hospital in Tokyo. He still had not relieved himself. So when he was on the stretcher on his way to the ambulance, he got up and immediately fell to the floor. He completely lost his ability to walk at that time. He was afraid it would derail his career. He'd be isolated in a Japanese hospital. He was afraid he was never going to be able to walk again. His uncle was a quadriplegic, so he said his family had experience with it. Apparently, 3 days before that semifinal matchup with the Italians, Aaron Baines came out to warm up for the second half against Nigeria. His hands were still wet from hand sanitizer because of COVID. He went for a really basic dunk in the layup line. His finger slipped off the rim. He lost his balance, crashed to the floor, landed on his head and neck, and sat out as a precaution. He was then really sore and needed painkillers to play. 3 days later, he slipped and fell in the bathroom, and apparently it was in result or related to that incident 3 days before. There was blood kind of bearing down on his spine, kind of. So that, he had internal bleeding, I should say, that was putting pressure on his spinal cord. So he was basically, day by day, losing his ability to walk in a hospital in Japan. Which, as you guys remember, had very strict COVID protocols for the Olympics last summer. So not even his teammates could go see him. Matthew Dellavedova and Patty Mills had to dress up and disguise themselves as doctors to go into the hospital and see their teammate before they left Tokyo to go back home. Now, Aaron Baines, I will say, to skip forward, he is at home in Australia where it's midsummer, so he's at the beach pretty much every day. He's rehabbing. He's hoping to come back next season, his agent said in that article. But just an incredible story that nobody that paid a lot of attention to Olympic basketball or that, like us, pays a lot of attention to the NBA had any idea about before that story came out this morning. And I saw a tweet from Aaron Baines that said, "Thanks for all the support." And I was like, wait, I feel like I'm missing something here. The tweet before that, he retweeted the story, and I read it, and I couldn't believe it. But I felt obligated to share that with everybody, and because that's an amazing story.
I read it. You just sent it to me during the break, Brett, and I got a chance to kind of skim it and look at it, a couple of things, and it's a really scary moment, for Aaron Baines, the team, just reading and hearing what you were talking about. I mean, if I was a part of his family or the Australian team, I would have been extremely worried. I would have been sick to my stomach. And I'm not sure that there was really much a way to prevent or to know that anything was happening. So that I think that in itself makes it a lot more scarier too.
Yeah, that was really hard to hear.
We're so glad that he's home, that he's rehabbing. Yeah, we're so glad that he's home and he's rehabbing. It was tough for me to read. both in my head this morning a lot just now. But he was stuck in that hospital in Tokyo for a long time and not allowed to leave and when he got back to Australia, whose COVID protocols are even stricter, as asked Novak Djokovic about that. Alex got it. Alex got what I was talking about.
Oh, God.
He had to quarantine for 2 weeks in a hospital. He had to quarantine for 2 weeks in a hospital when he got home. So he still couldn't see his family when he got home. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, and we'll shift gears momentarily and then get to happy stuff. Novak Djokovic claimed natural immunity because he had COVID, I think, 2 or 3 weeks before the Australian Open, and had not gotten his second dose of the vaccine because he got his first dose and then got COVID. So he was like, okay, I'm cool. Not saying that was the right thing or the wrong thing to do. That's what he decided to do. He got, I don't know, maybe the same doctors that Aaron Rodgers had to sign off on it. And flew into Australia thinking he was going to tie the all-time record for Grand Slam victories in major tennis. And the Australian government said, your visa's canceled. You can't play, buddy. You don't have the second shot. And he said, but I got the exemption, and that, nope, sorry. You're being detained in the hotel room until we can figure this out. He took the Australian government to court. The Australian government was backed by a judge that said, yeah, he can't play. So, anyway, here's for the All-Star. Now, as I know right now, I think the format is the same to where it's going to be a draft. Is that correct?
Yes.
I think. Okay.
Yeah, I
so
believe
from the
you're
Western
correct.
Conference, your captain. Yep, your captain, LeBron James. You got Steph Curry, John Morant, Nikola Jokic, and for some unknown reason, Andrew Wiggins is a starter in the All-Star game. Go figure. In the Eastern Conference, you got KD's your captain, DeMar DeRozan, Trae Young, Joel Embiid, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. KD's probably not going to play. If anything, he might coach because he's still got that sprained knee ligament. By the way, Wiggins edged out Draymond Green by like a handful of votes to get that starter spot. But I think for the most part, the fans got it right, except for the Andrew Wiggins part.
Who do we think missed out? Because I mean, I think a lot of the news is definitely around Andrew Wiggins because that was obviously the elephant in the picture. But I
think Draymond Green deserved it a lot more than Andrew Wiggins. But
yeah, I think you can make a case
I don't
for both.
see any snubs as far as starters go.
I
think
agree.
for the first time in a long time, I can say the fans for the most part got this right. Now, as far as where the reserves fall into it, I would hope, and if one of these three guys is not on that list, it's a travesty, that LaMelo, Miles Bridges, Terry Rozier, 1, 2, or all three of those guys are on the reserve list. I think at least one of them will be, because it's impossible to ignore how well those three guys have played, especially Wednesday night.
I think if I had to pick, though, out of those
that was the greatest.
If I had to pick one out of those three, Brett, honestly, and I think majority of people would say LaMelo. Some would say Rozier. I'm picking Miles Bridges. That's who I'm going with. I think he has been impressive.
I'll take Miles too, but for the publicity aspect, you
LaMelo.
You kind of need LaMelo in there for the publicity aspect of things, but I think the best of those three players all year, for the past 2 years really, has been Miles Bridges. Just look at what he did at Madison Square Garden on Martin Luther King Day, put up 35 some odd points. I mean, he's been playing out of his mind all year. Everybody played out of their mind Wednesday night in Indiana when the Hornets put up 156 points. No overtimes, by the way. No overtimes. This was regulation. Kelly Oubre had 39 points off the bench. So there goes your Tyler Herro narrative, Michael.
Okay.
Call me when Tyler Herro
Calm
drops
down.
40 off the bench, buddy.
Calm down.
Call me.
Calm down.
Call me when that happens.
Hey,
But
that
as a lifelong fan of this franchise, even back to the Bobcats days, I've never seen a game in which any iteration of the Charlotte basketball franchise played that well offensively, where they just basically didn't need to play defense. 113 at the end of the third quarter. They could have stopped right there, but no. And James Borrego said after the game, we were due for a game like this. What? Our shooters are really good. We were due to score this many points in a game. But no one's due for 155, 156 points. That's how confident this team is right now. And that's how confident James Borrego is as a coach and his players.
Not to take away from that big win for Charlotte, because it was impressive for them to put up that many points. Indiana, on the other hand, was missing, I believe, Sabonis. They have been missing Miles Turner. And you know, like I said, not taking anything away from Charlotte, because they have been up and coming for the past 3-4 seasons. But that Pacers team, I mean, but with the Sabonis and Turner and a couple other guys out, I mean, I don't think I could name you 10 players on that lineup.
Alex, I would say the same thing, but that same Pacers team beat the Lakers last week.
And the Warriors, or was it the Lakers or the
Warriors?
Warriors?
Yep.
I can.
Who do the Hornets play tonight on national TV?
Lakers. Tickets for that game.
If LeBron's not playing, that could be.
The Hornets played the Lakers tonight on national TV. Yep.
Probably will be 50-50 Lakers Hornets fans.
It could, and we hope it will be.
158.
Our good friend Will Higdon will be there, in attendance. Go ahead, Michael.
Oh, sorry. I think my Wi-Fi was messing up. But 158 points is stellar for any NBA team on any NBA night. And, you know, it showed that, you know, Charlotte could beat, you know, majority of the Eastern Conference teams in a 7-game series. Like, that is pretty impressive. And it probably sped up the idea of like, okay, maybe we need a couple veterans. If we can go get a Miles Turner from Indiana, see what that price range is, you know, that way they can match up against teams like Bam Adebayo with the Miami Heat or Giannis with the Bucks. So I'm thinking the Hornets make a move at the deadline.
They need to, because I was talking to Brett before the show started. I am absolutely done, finished. See you later, hasta la vista, Mason Plumlee, from ever being in a Prize Picks entry for me ever again, because he can't score 2 layups in the first half.
Who else could they go
never
get?
Bet on any of the Plumlee brothers. So.
Who else could they go get other than Miles Turner?
Hassan, and we talked about this with Skylar Callahan a couple weeks ago. I think Hassan Whiteside would be your best option.
I don't like the Whiteside pick. He's had some work
and when you
ethic
talk
issues.
about Milwaukee and Giannis, the Hornets have done a pretty good job defending against him, switching off with Bridges, with PJ Washington. They've thrown the book at him so far, and it's worked. And we talked about this with Skylar a couple weeks ago too, where the 3 times since the franchise came back in 04-05 that they've made the playoffs, they've gone out and gotten a veteran or 2 at the deadline that wasn't necessarily a high-profile name. I mean, the past 3 or 4 years, the Hornets have been linked to high-profile whoever at the deadline and not pulled the trigger. If there's anybody that knows how to make the smartest deadline move, it's Mitch Kupchak. I mean, look at what he did with the Lakers. There's a reason he was brought to Charlotte by Michael Jordan, and that was to get the Charlotte Hornets to the playoffs consistently. And they're right there. They just got to get in. And I think this is the year that they do it, but you've got to go out. I don't think you need to get a Miles Turner. I don't think you need to spend the capital to get a Miles Turner right now. I think what you need to do is you need to look at a Hassan Whiteside or another, you know, middle-of-the-line 4 or 5 guy to go fill that second spot, because the only person behind Mason Plumlee right now is, like I said, it's a combination of PJ Washington, of, Nick Richards, of Miles Bridges. You don't need 6'8" wings playing the 5 all the time.
Hear me out, though, Brad. Hear me out. You say that they don't need to really make that much of a splash move, but it is quite obvious that the Hornets' biggest hole is that center position, that big man position.
And
now,
I agree.
And there are a few names popping around the trade deadline, which include Domantas Sabonis, Miles Turner, Marvin Bagley, and Thaddeus Young, as well as Jeremy Grant, who I was about to get to. Jeremy Grant, to me, would be a sneaky pickup.
That'd be a good option, yeah.
Detroit are fielding calls for him right now, looking for a little bit of capital in return. So Hornets definitely could make a move with somebody like that. Jeremy Grant don't necessarily need to make a big splash for Sabonis.
No, I don't think you need to mortgage the future with the core that you have right now to succeed in the present. And going after a Sabonis or a Miles Turner would probably do that. I don't think a Jeremy Grant or any of the other guys you mentioned on the list, which would all be great fits.
Marvin Bagley would be a great fit.
Require the capital. He would be a great fit, and that's somebody that Vernon Carey Jr. I don't think they played together, but they both played at Duke, so that connection's there. Even though Carey's in the G League, but you need to go out and get somebody that can play with, ahead, or behind Mason Plumlee. Because it's not enough on either side of the basketball right now to have Mason Plumlee and then a revolving door behind him. Because there's no Bismack Biyombo. And I told you not to bet on the Plumlees. Because he gets that one lob from LaMelo in the first half. He gets that one lob and he dunks it over his head like this. The rest of the first half he does nothing.
Let's do some pick and rolls.
Literally nothing.
Why can't we do anything like that? Why do we have to? It's 2 points first half, and then he goes 10 points second half. That is the ultimate. Just,
Now, a couple guys we could probably consider, and I'm just thinking about like Western Conference teams that are probably not going to make the playoffs or get anywhere close. And I'm thinking Houston. What if Charlotte went after Christian Wood?
And he was a Hornet at one point. A very long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. I think that's a perfect fit, and that's not something I've heard a lot of people say. But if there's anybody that would be ultimate sell right now, I think the Houston Rockets would probably be at the top of that list because I think they're going to try and clean house here because they are, terrible.
Yeah. Christian Wood. Thinking Jonas Valanciunas from the Pelicans, a little veteran.
It's another team that's probably going to go full sell.
Those are two players I think if you ask for the right price, and I don't think you would have to give up as much for Christian Wood as you would a Miles Turner or Valanciunas for that matter.
Or Sabonis for that matter.
Yeah. I think those two players could be on the move, and Charlotte needs somebody big time at the 5.
Very quickly, guys, what do we see happening tonight? Hopefully there's more purple and teal than there is purple and gold tonight in the Spectrum Center. Again, our good friend Will Higdon will be there tonight. We'll be sure to get a full report from him next week if he can be on. But that's going to be an electric atmosphere tonight. What do we see happening with the Hornets and Lakers tonight in Charlotte?
For me, the Lakers had a really rough game last night against Philadelphia. And, with LeBron James, with the left knee soreness, that may be Russell and AD tonight. And honestly, a lot of their role players last night, like Malik Monk, Avery Bradley, Stanley Johnson, Horton Tucker, they were abysmal. They were not good last night against Philadelphia. So for me, I think Lakers, they should have a bounce back game. But I think the Hornets are definitely going to give them problems early on if LeBron is still out tonight.
Yeah. And if LeBron plays, LeBron has a history of playing the Hornets well. Even back to Cleveland, even back to Miami. But I would not be surprised if Charlotte wins. They're favored by, 8 points tonight?
Mm-hmm.
That's looking good for Charlotte. I don't know the last time Charlotte was favored against
Very
a
generous.
team like the Los Angeles Lakers.
I can't remember a time like that. And I hope and I pray that this is a good game for Charlotte. Consistently, they've played terrible on national TV with a couple of outside exceptions. Hopefully, this is the time where the Hornets not only showcase themselves as a top 6, top 7 team in the Eastern Conference, but they get to showcase Charlotte and the fan base and the arena and the atmosphere for a national TV audience on ESPN tonight. When we come back, we'll head to the ice. We'll talk some Hurricanes. We'll talk some Kings and Ducks, who for some reason are good, and the Isles and Oilers are not. We'll get to that and the dichotomies of the NHL standings here in a little bit.
You are listening to The Score with Brett Wiseman on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Enter your softball team into the Diamond Stars Invitational March 19th and 20th at Springwood Park in Burlington, North Carolina. Age brackets are for 10 and up for a one-day event, 12 and up, and 14 and up. With Diamond Star events, you get more games, longer time limits, quality competition, and prizes to all champions. With Diamond Star events, get the tournament experience your players, coaches, and families deserve. For more information and to sign up, visit DiamondStarEvents.net.
Beamer Tire and Auto Repair, now with 3 locations across the Triad in High Point, Greensboro, and our new location in Kernersville. Beamer Tire and Auto offers full-service auto repair, all tire brands, free alignment checks, oil changes, and more. In Kernersville, check out the no appointment needed Quick Lube shop. Check out their thousands of 5-star ratings via Google and Yelp. They care because they know that you can go anywhere. So try a shop with a beating heart, not a bottom line. Beamer Tire and Auto Repair. Visit us on Facebook or at beamertire.com.
This is Donald Ware, host of Box to Row. Steve White of NFL Network joins me. We'll also talk NFL Conference Championships right here on Box to Row.
From press box to press row with Donald Ware, Saturdays at 9 a.m. on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Father Time is undefeated. It's going to hit Tom Brady eventually, too. It might be this year. Hopefully it's this year.
And Matt LaFleur went to both of them and said, hey, remember that play you drew up on notebook paper on Thursday? Yeah, run it now.
Like, that's the thing that's kind of tripping me up here. We've been clowning Kyrie Irving and his behavior for the past 5 years. I feel like I just got a point, like on a show or something.
3, 2, 1, Kernersville. You've got state champions coming back home. The East Forsyth Eagles have just won Class 4A state championship.
On the line with NASCAR superstar Bubba Wallace. Bubba, what type of music are you listening to right now? Do you listen to anything particular to get you hyped before a race?
I'm in like the heavy metal stuff, like the screamo stuff, the stuff you can't understand. That's right up my alley.
Tie game at 41. Murr takes the snap. Fade. Right corner of the end zone for Timmons. He bobbled it and then honed it in the right corner of the end zone. Terrell Timmons Jr.
TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com, your home for Triad Sports.
This is Donald Ware, host of
York Home Inspections provides a vast array of home inspection services right here in the heart of the Triad. Exterior, insulation, ventilation, structural, appliances, roofing, radon testing, pest inspections, electrical, plus HVAC, new construction inspections, annual maintenance, and more. Owner John Taylor York has been in business since 2012 and treats each inspection as if it's his own home. Schedule your appointment online with John at YorkHomeInspection94.com or call 336-442-8315. York Home Inspections, quality home inspections. Craving fried chicken? Stop by One Stop on the way to the big game. One Stop number 6, located at 2748 West Mountain Street in Kernersville, serves fresh fried chicken and famous taters 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Craving wings? Come try the new spicy breaded wings. Get a 5-wing meal with 6 taters and a roll for just $7.39. Now in regular, hot, ranch, or spicy. One Stop number 6, 2748 West Mountain Street in Kernersville. Welcome back to The Score with Brett Wiseman here on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
Welcome back to The Score here with Brett Wiseman on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Brett Wiseman joined alongside Alex Wilbur and our producer Desmond Johnson this afternoon. We apologize if in that last segment some Wi-Fi issues happened, which are apparently still happening. We'll see if we can fix those here in just a moment. See.
I believe you are back, Brett.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. Hold on. Let's see if we can get this suited up here. Sorry about that, folks. Okay, there we go. So, in the NHL right now, guys, there's a dichotomy in the standings. As far as the Kings and the Ducks, who were expected to be at the bottom of it for a lot of this season, are now sitting second and third in the Pacific. They weren't expected to be. The state of Florida is on top of the standings, with Colorado kind of intermixed in the middle there. So it's an odd time. It's an odd time in the NHL right now, and Colorado made a pretty darn good statement on Wednesday night on national TV on TNT against the Boston Bruins. Alex, I know you're, as a Kraken fan, you're a little bit disappointed, to say the least, with your team's current standing, but the way the NHL is right now, it's to a point where, it's so topsy-turvy in terms of parity. The Canes are in a 3-way tie right now on top of the Metro. Remember, only the top 3 teams in each division get in. They're sitting 4th in the league in points. The only problem is Pittsburgh and the New York Rangers have the same amount. Behind them is Washington, and everybody else in that division is dog rot right now, including the New York Islanders, who were supposed to be a really, really, really good team until their first 15 games were on the road, and they sit now at 15-15-6 with 36 standings points. And then you look at the Atlantic. Florida's at 65, Tampa's at 63, Boston's still in it, Toronto's still good, and then everybody else is very meh, especially Montreal, who's having the worst season probably ever of any team that made the Cup final the year prior. The only team that's worse... Excuse me, I must have needed caffeine. Only team that's worse, well, they're actually better by a point, is Arizona. So you're no longer the worst team in the league. You're the worst team in your division, Alex, but...
Yeah. It will be
Nobody
okay.
can be Vegas. No. Nobody can be Vegas because the expansion draft is not rigged this past year like it was for Vegas. They're first in the Pacific, but the Ducks and the Kings, who are both very, very young teams, for them to be playing as well as they are right now, that's a really good sign for them and for the league overall, because there is a lot of young talent. You had the first career goal last night against the Islanders for Quentin Byfield in that new arena on a de facto nationally televised game. It was one of those ESPN Plus / Hulu exclusive games with John Buccigross on the call. So it was technically a national broadcast, but good for him. And Trevor Zegras last night, if you missed it, against those same Montreal Canadiens, pulled off the Michigan, the lacrosse-style goal. Earlier on in the year in Buffalo, he had that lacrosse-style assist where he picked it up and threw it over the back of the net, and his teammate batted it in. This time he went behind the net, and much like Andrei Svechnikov, just scooped it right out in there past the Montreal goaltender. Trevor Zegras is doing unhuman things right now, and that entire Ducks team is impressing the heck out of everybody, and it's a team that everyone thought was still in a rebuild, still a couple years away from being really, really competitive. They and the Kings both are outside of Vegas the classes of the Pacific Division right now, and great for those franchises, and it's great for the league that those two teams, that market is back to a point where those teams can be competitive.
If I may touch on the Ducks, I have to agree exactly with what you're saying, Brett. They have been so impressive. I mean, whether or not the season ends with the Ducks in a playoff spot, I mean, I really think they found the foundation for the next Orange County contender, and it's clearly there with Troy Terry, Trevor Zegras, Jamie Drysdale, and they're really proving themselves to be some really good hockey players.
And they've got a great mix right now of young guys, and they've got, the handful of veteran guys. John Gibson's playing some of the best hockey of his career in goal right now, the veteran goaltender. Ryan Getzlaf is still there. He's having a really good renaissance year. Kevin Shattenkirk, a guy that's been in the playoffs year after year after year with the Blues, and then with the Blues, the Rangers, and the Washington Capitals, a guy that won a Stanley Cup with the Capitals, so he knows what it takes. It's a team that has a really good mix. Same thing with the Kings. They've got a really 1-2 combo going right now with Jonathan Quick, who's one of the best goalies of the past 10, 15 years, and Cal Peterson, who's only in his, I believe, his fourth year in the NHL. And that's basically a 1A, 1B at that point. That coaching staff can kind of pick and choose who they want to put in net that night. They know they can count on both of them. That's a rarity. That's a great thing to have. And the Ducks had the same thing with John Gibson. I'm blanking on the backup's name, but I know he's been playing really, really well. And then when you factor in Drew Doughty just played his 1,000th career game last night for LA against the Islanders, game that LA won. You've got him still in there. You've got Anze Kopitar, who's still there, and then you've got guys like Quentin Byfield and a good core of young guys building around that. So this is, again, yeah, it's a surprise, but it's good for the league that these two teams are where they are. The fact that Edmonton and the Islanders are where they are right now. Granted, the Islanders are not necessarily surging; they're kind of stuck. For a team like Edmonton, that you have the two best players in the National Hockey League right now, period. You've got Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. And if you saw that move that Connor McDavid made in the shootout last night against UC Saros of the Nashville Predators, where he basically turned him into a pretzel, you know that team is capable of doing it. And this is a team that everybody in hockey talks about being, the consistent contender. If anything, the Edmonton Oilers are the Green Bay Packers of the National Hockey League. They've got two of, if not the two best players in the National Hockey League. So compare it to an Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. And consistently, everyone else around them finds ways to let them down. Or in really key moments, they don't play up to their potential.
I think one thing to touch on with the Oilers is it's really a story of two quarters. Through 21 games, the Oilers were 16-5. After that 21st game, they were 4-11-2. They really need a goaltending solution before their season's really completely out of the window. So for me, I mean, they're in a decent spot, but they still have to do some work really before it starts getting too late.
And that's always been the problem for Edmonton. It's always been the problem, has been goaltending. The entirety of Connor McDavid's career, basically. Ever since his second or third year, really, when they were consistently in the playoffs or in playoff contention, they've needed a solid goaltender. They haven't found that guy yet. Koskinen's a good goalie. He's not a number one. Mike Smith was a good goalie. He's not a number one guy. It very simply, you don't have what the Hurricanes took so long to get in a Frederik Andersen. You don't have that number one guy if you're Edmonton. You got to go get that guy. There's guys on the market at the trade deadline that fit that bill. You got to go get it. Everything else on your team is perfect. The only thing that has been your pitfall has been goaltending. Period. And the Hurricanes went out and they got their guy, and it's showing. They just happen to be playing in a division in which the Pittsburgh Penguins look like the Pittsburgh Penguins of 12 years ago, and not the Pittsburgh Penguins of 1 year ago, where this looks like vintage Pens right now. And they're in a really tight spot with them and a Rangers team that's playing as well as they have in 5 or 6 years. For all three of those teams to be at 60 points right now, and then Washington, for it to be a 4-horse race in the Metro when you very much expected at the very least the Islanders to be in it, and probably Columbus and Philadelphia to be better than they are right now. Carolina's sitting in a really good spot with it only being a 4-horse race.
Carolina, Frederik Andersen, he's definitely in the running for the best free agent signing of the summer. He was a former Leaf stopper, and he's provided the consistent and high-end goaltending Carolina has really been looking for. So for me, Carolina they're in a really good spot right now. I think you cut out a little bit from us, Brett, but I was saying Frederik Andersen, he's in the running for the best free agent signing of the summer, former Leaf stopper. I mean, he's been consistent. He's been a high-end goaltender that Carolina has long been looking after.
Anybody that said he was a bad goaltender in Toronto is just one of those Leafs fans that's just fed up with them losing in the first round and has forgotten everything that they once knew about hockey. Let's get in the break here. When we come back, we'll talk to Steve Wiseman live from Louisville, Kentucky. He'll join us adjacent from the second most famous arena in the world, the KFC Yum Center, and talk Duke and ACC hoops.
You are listening to The Score with Brett Wiseman on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
Beamer Tire and Auto Repair, now with 3 locations across the Triad in High Point, Greensboro, and our new location in Kernersville. Beamer Tire and Auto offers full-service auto repair, all tire brands, free alignment checks, oil changes, and more. In Kernersville, check out the no appointment needed Quick Lube shop. Check out their thousands of 5-star ratings via Google and Yelp. They care because they know that you can go anywhere. So try a shop with a beating heart, not a bottom line. Beamer Tire and Auto Repair. Visit us on Facebook or at beamertire.com.
Craving fried chicken? Stop by One Stop on the way to the big game. One Stop number 6, located at 2748 West Mountain Street in Kernersville, serves fresh fried chicken and famous taters 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Craving wings? Come try the new spicy breaded wings. Get a 5-wing meal with 6 taters and a roll for just $7.39. Now in regular, hot, ranch, or spicy. One Stop number 6, 2748 West Mountain Street in Kernersville. Looking to change things up a little? Visit Salon Resi. Located at 765 East Bluemont Road, Suite 200 in Mount Airy, Salon Resi is the newest high-end full-service salon and spa in the Triad. Salon Resi Spa includes massages and skincare. Get a full highlight treatment, shampoo and style, color and retouch, and much, much more. Salon Resi, where passion and creativity meet. 765 East Bluemont Road, Suite 200 in Mount Airy.
The specials never stop at Blue Naples Pizza, an Italian restaurant. Every day, you get a large 2-topping pizza for only $11.99. On Sunday, watch football and enjoy our large 1-topping pizza and 10 wings for only $17.99. Plus lunch specials every day of the week. Blue Naples Pizza, an Italian restaurant. 1519 Union Cross Road in Kernersville.
The wait is over. Simply Sonia's Southern Cuisine and Cocktails is now open. 3050 University Parkway inside the Best Western Plus Hotel. Open 7 days a week starting at 11 a.m. daily. Freshly made Southern cuisine with signature cocktails and lunch specials daily. The location for your next event with Simply Sonia's catering specials. Open now. Simply Sonia's Southern Cuisine and Cocktails. 3050 University Parkway inside the Best Western Plus Hotel in Winston-Salem.
Welcome back to The Score with Brett Wiseman here on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
Back here on The Score with Brett Wiseman on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Brett Wiseman joined live from Louisville, Kentucky. It's almost Saturday night. It's Steve Wiseman. And Scott Wiseman's back there somewhere.
He is.
I don't think he wanted me to mention that, but he's back there somewhere. Steve, how's your view of the world's second most famous arena?
It's clouded by heavy snow right now. So
that's
right
wonderful.
Across the street, yeah.
I was hoping you would say my view is yummy. So,
Snow in Louisville. Keep that.
Yes.
I know.
Louisville, Kentucky.
What have we come to?
This is the ACC. Come on.
Yeah, it's not supposed to snow here. Oh
Damn
wait,
you,
Syracuse is still here.
This is all Swafford's fault. He brought all these.
It's all Swafford's fault.
Exactly.
He's gone now. We can blame him again.
Thanks, John.
Oh goodness. It's been a wild week, and a wild week and a half in the ACC, Steve.
And in Louisville in particular, yeah.
Yep, that's exactly what I was getting to. Chris Mack is out of a job, which I don't think shocked a lot of people. I think the timing was a little bit more shocking than anything else.
I think so too. Anytime there's a change mid-season, it's unusual, especially in college sports. It just doesn't happen very often. And so there's some thought that Chris Mack kind of saw this coming. I mean, they have an interim president, an interim AD. I'm sure they didn't want to make this change, right? They can't even really make the hire because they're interim. Like, how are you going to make a hire when you're interim? So, but I think that Chris Mack got to the point where he saw it coming and was like, you know what? Let's just pull the plug now. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off, get rid of it, and move on. Let me get out of this hellscape that was this team this year, because I know that I think today Malik Williams, Louisville's player, said at a press conference earlier that Mack was out on suspension earlier this year, right, for 6 games, first 6 games of the year, and the team played. They went 5-1. They played okay. They lost to Furman, but they went 5-1 otherwise. And he said when Mack came back to coach them that they had to adjust to him instead of the assistant coach, and that was hard. And now Mack's gone, right? So there's the weight off the players' shoulders. I mean, it just wasn't working, and Mack knew that. And so Chris Mack's like, you know what? Let's just get out of here.
And I can't remember if it was Malik Williams or not that said this after the game last Saturday when he was asked, have you lost the locker room? Has Chris Mack lost the locker room? And he took a solid 15, 20 seconds to answer that question with no comment. If it takes you that long to answer that question, that's the answer to the question is silence.
Yeah, because you are correct.
Yes, that was Malik Williams. He's one of the the leaders of this team. So he knew what was going on in that locker room, and so did Chris Mack. So I know that watching Chris Mack's little impromptu press conference outside the building the other day when he was cleaning out his office, and he stopped to talk to some reporters. Classic, stakeout
thing there.
Yep.
He seemed relieved. He seemed like, okay, whew, I'm done with this. I'm gonna get my 4.8 million or whatever the heck it is, and move on to something better.
The rest of that Adidas buyout.
Yeah, it just, this athletic department here is an absolute mess.
The only person still standing is Scott Satterfield. Go figure.
And that's with 1 foot on ice, like barely.
Yep. Yeah.
I thought I saw Steve, like maybe a year or so ago, Forbes put out that Louisville was like the most profitable college basketball program in the country or something like that. They had like $30 million in profit that one year.
Yes.
Is that still the same? Is that still the case that they're still considered the
yeah, I mean, they've got this arena is fabulous. I mean, it's like an NBA arena.
It is.
And all the revenue streams and all that. So,
if I remember correctly, despite the fact that, was it last week when they were playing BC that the roof leaked in there?
Yes, it did. Yes.
I was sitting in the studio adjacent to that at Learfield doing Boston College hockey that was just airing on stream only because basketball took precedent. They switched over to the hockey broadcast. All of a sudden, I was like, oh, I'm on like 10 radio stations now, and I was only supposed to be on the internet tonight because the people in Louisville forgot to close the roof. That's an NBA caliber arena that you're looking at there, Steve. The Toronto Raptors almost played there last year when they couldn't play in Canada.
They did, and it would have been slick like Canada, maybe. But anyway,
somebody forgot to leave the chicken bucket on top of the hole.
Nevertheless, it is a fabulous arena. I mean, for the first time I walked in here,
it is gorgeous. I've driven past it once or twice, and yeah, it's massive. It's a sight to see.
So anyway, revenue streams. It's the only, they don't have pro sports here, like any major league pro sports. So it's the only biggest game in town, and they corporate support, all that stuff. They make a lot of money at Louisville, and they spend it on buyouts. So there you go.
They have a lot of tournament games there too. But what are you expecting from this game tomorrow, Steve? This is a Duke team that, over the past week has been kind of up and down, in and out, kind of a seesaw kind of thing going on with them. What do you see going against a Louisville team that I guess you throw all expectations out the window with this being the first game without Chris Mack?
Yeah, I mean, there's some people around Duke and another, they're thinking the Louisville players are going to play with their hair on fire tomorrow because, hey, they got rid of, the king is dead. Long live the new king, right? Let's go.
Yep.
But anyway, you don't know what you're going to get from Louisville. They're going to play hard. They're going to play with like some freedom because they're rid of, whatever problems they had with Chris Mack. From the Duke standpoint, they're still hoping Trevor Keels. I know yesterday Coach K said he's getting really close to coming back. So I was told possibly the Monday game, they have Notre Dame coming up on Monday on the road. We're all head from here to there. And then they play Carolina on the 5th. That he certainly is going to play against Carolina. He might play against Notre Dame, and it's still not out of the question that he'll play tomorrow. So
the only question is, do you risk it before the Carolina game?
Yeah, I mean, you probably want to get him in a game before the Carolina game, right? So Notre Dame would make sense. I mean, he's one of their better ball handlers. He's a good perimeter defender. He hasn't shot well lately, but anyway, he's one of their regular guys. I mean, you want to get him back in there and get him going. So, I wouldn't be surprised if he played tomorrow. I'd be probably thinking more Monday, but I know that he is progressing well. So that's the major question as far as their lineup. And then it's what you do with Jeremy Roach, who's played tremendous in Keel's absence. I mean, the last 2 games, 18 assists and 2 turnovers. And he played all 40 minutes against Clemson the other night in that game that was closer than we thought it would be. But I know for the last 4 games since he left the starting lineup, then he returned. But the last 4 games, like he's played like 139 minutes and had 3 turnovers. I mean, it's just amazing what he's doing. And so he's been a big help for them. And they're going to need him to do things down the stretch.
Totally agree with you on that. I think you've got to look at giving him, whether it's tomorrow or in South Bend in a few days, you've got to look at giving him some minutes. But of course, I think you have him on a minutes restriction. I think you got him on a pitch count because you're going to need him for that Carolina game.
Right.
While we're on the subject of Carolina, Desmond, you've been fighting with Carolina fans all week, I've been told.
Yeah.
They've got NC State tomorrow. So that's a rivalry game. We know NC State's not to the caliber that they're used to being, Steve.
Can I jump in there for a second real quick? And we'll get back to you, Desmond.
The fact that Roy Williams is going to be honored or whatever before the game tomorrow night is just chef's kiss. He hates State.
They did
more
that
than,
on
more
purpose.
than Duke.
Yep.
That
More than
was
Duke, right?
strategic.
Oh, it's fabulous.
So strategic.
Anyway, sorry.
Because he hated State. Yeah, you said he hated State more than he hated Duke.
He did.
Yeah, he did. Well, when he was at North Carolina in the 70s, NC State was the main rival of Carolina.
That's right.
It's always ACC hoops since Dean got here, and really before Dean, Frank McGuire. It's always been Carolina and somebody. It's been Carolina and State, or Carolina and Maryland, or Carolina and Duke, or whoever it is. It's always Carolina and someone at the top of the standings. And really, because of the fan base, it's become Carolina Duke the past 25 years or whatever. It's kind of overtaken that. Plus State's had, issues. So they haven't been able to get to the same level that Carolina and Duke have gotten to nationally over the past 2 decades. Yeah, I've been going back and forth with Carolina fans online. This is a weird year where Carolina fans are kind of infighting, because I think half the fan base is expecting perfection. Like, they want perfection. The other half realizes that this year's team, the base of this team was 18-11 and an 8th seed last year and an early out in the tournament. And then you lost Day'Ron Sharpe to the NBA. You lost Walker Kessler to the now number 1 rated Auburn Tigers. You lost Garrison Brooks to Mississippi State. And you brought in Dawson Garcia, who's not available. He's out with a family emergency. We don't know when he'll be back. He had a concussion before that. And you bring in Brady Manick, who, great shooter, not a post player. So, I think Carolina fans are so used to seeing the 2 bigs, speedy point guard type of configuration that we've all grown up on watching Carolina. And this year, that's not what they are. They flipped that for being the top rated 3-point shooting team in the ACC. They've basically traded bully ball for being able to shoot. I think what's going to happen by the time this year is over, I think Hubert's going to realize that he didn't necessarily need a bunch of stretch fours. Carolina's offense still works. They just won a national championship 5 years ago running it. You just have to have the horses to run it, and your wings have to be able to shoot. He didn't need to have bigs that could shoot. The whole thing that separated Carolina from the rest was that they had 2 guys down there playing volleyball with the ball. So even if they were missing it, they're getting 3, 4, or 5 different chances to actually, get a bucket. They don't have that now. They just have Baycott, and that's it in the middle. And when they run across teams that have size like Purdue, Tennessee, Kentucky, Wake Forest, Miami, they're going to lose. They're going to lose those games because they literally just don't have the size to really compete with those guys, which is why I'm scared to death of seeing Duke a week from this weekend, because not only does Duke have the size to really bother Carolina, they have the talent to blow their wheels off, really. Duke is a very good team this year. They're not scary good like they were 2019, the Zion, Cam Reddish, RJ Barrett team. That's the last scary Duke team that's been around. But this Duke team is good
compared
enough.
to the rest of the ACC right now, they're scary good.
And even that, everyone keeps saying it's Duke and everybody else. I don't know if that's exactly the case. I think it's really, if you look at the standings, there's 4 or 5 teams that are right there at the top. Duke hasn't won a regular season title outright since 2009 or something like that. So
2010, yeah.
Yeah. So it's I don't know if they're going to do that necessarily, but I'll tell you what, Wake Forest, I've had enough time now to watch this Wake Forest team play. And I know people talk all the time about, it's Wake Forest, then Alondas Williams, he'll probably be a second rounder. LaRavia might not get drafted, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Together right now, they are beating the brakes off of everyone they see, by 20 plus points, and having fun doing it. They feel like a team. Shout out to Steve Forbes. Wake is going to have something to say about this ACC regular season before it's all said and done.
And you look at, the teams that are behind Duke right now, a Florida State, a Miami. Wake Forest beat Florida State by 22 points.
See, that's their thing. That's
People
what I'm
seem
saying.
to forget that.
Everybody. And Carolina fans were mad because we shouldn't lose to Wake Forest and Miami by 20 plus points. I'm like, well, we should if they're better. If they're better teams, then you know what I mean? What are we doing here? Okay, it says Carolina on our jersey, so we should just never lose to teams by 20 points. Fine, I get it. That's fine. I'm 44. I don't remember a whole lot of times where Carolina's been beaten by 20 plus points. But Wake is good. Miami is good.
That was the most points that Wake Forest has ever scored in a single game against North Carolina and at 98. But they literally could not miss.
They have no one to guard these wings that actually can score. They can put it on the ground. None of our wings can do that. So Hubert went out and found some guys that could shoot, but he forgot to make sure they could play defense against those same dudes that they were going to be out there against, and they can't do it. Like Laravia was just running around dudes in that Wake Forest game. He was just doing whatever he wanted. So there's no quick fix in the middle of the season. I wanted to ask Steve, do you feel like this Duke team can make it to the Final Four? Because the whole thing seems super wide open.
It is wide open. They can. I mean, when they're at their best, which they were the first half against Gonzaga, that game when they built that lead, then held on to win the Kentucky win. But since they had the COVID break and then Keel's getting injured, they're not back to that level yet. Now, can they get back there? I don't know. If they do, yes, they could certainly go to the Final Four and win it all. No question about it, because Banchero, is an NBA player. And AJ Griffin's coming on. He needs to shoot better. But you're right. You mentioned they have the bigs. They're a big team. Like even at the guards, like Keel's is 6'5", 220 out there. Oh. And Banchero 6'10", 250, and he's not your center. I mean, Mark Williams is 7'1",
7 foot tall.
So they have the tools. It's just if they can get back there. And you mentioned the Zion, RJ, Cam Reddish team, and I've mentioned this to other people that that year after Trey Jones got hurt for a little while, and then Zion blew his shoe out, right? And they all came back for March, and they won the ACC, but they weren't quite as good as they were before all that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd still have my doubts, and they got to show me they can do it before I can say they're going to do it. But if they can get back to where they were before this Keels thing happened and the COVID thing happened. There's a little bit of a history here. Jason Tatum's team, there were injuries with that team, right? Tatum was hurt some. Marcus Bolden, remember all that? Harry Giles. They won the ACC. South Carolina beat them in the NCAA tournament.
I remember that, yeah.
Okay, so I'm just saying, let's watch and see how this works. You want to say, oh, Coach K is this great coach, and they'll get it. And he is, but there's a little history here. There's a little history here that shows sometimes they can't regain it when they lose it midseason. They got to do it.
We know you don't want to say that, Des. That goes without saying.
Over time, it's become a hateful respect for Coach K. I hate him, but I respect him. It's a hateful
That's me and Tom Brady, and it has been since about 2009.
I really just hate Tom Brady. Like, I don't know if I've got to the respect part. Like, dude's got 7 rings. Like, go home. Go home.
And Steve, I told you this because of our St. Louis aspect. I was like, I don't want to root for the Rams, but I want Tom Brady to lose a hell of a lot more than I want to see Stan Kroenke get close to a Super Bowl in Kroenke land.
Oh, 49ers are going to take care of the Rams. I wouldn't even worry about it.
That would be nice.
Yeah, the 49ers seem like that one team that nobody wants to see right now.
Well,
they're the hottest one coming in. And they hit you. They hit you in January. So that's a big difference than
that hurts when it's 4 degrees and snowing and your long snapper can't block. Well, and when they put Trent Williams in motion. Anyways, beside the point.
Awesome.
Let's stay in the ACC. Wake, as you mentioned, Des, they're heading to the Carrier Dome tomorrow. And Steve, as you know, this is a Wake Forest team, a program that I've watched pretty much my entire life growing up here in Winston-Salem. You remember when and Scott remembers too, my dad and I were, going to pretty much half seasons or full seasons of games when Wake Forest was tie-dye nation. Steve Forbes has brought that back, which I think is a huge thing. And when you look at the guys that he brought in here that are just out of the transfer portal, he pulled guys from JUCO, he pulled guys from no-name schools. He's plucked guys off the street that are playing like they should have been playing ACC basketball for 3 or 4 years now. And this is the first time I could say this is a Wake Forest team since Syracuse entered the ACC, maybe, that they could go into the Carrier Dome and actually feel confident about going up there to play.
Oh, yeah. They're the better team. If they lose, it'll be an upset for sure.
Syracuse can't score right now.
No, really. They're not. They're a mess, too. They're not good. They're not in a good place. But yeah, I mean, Steve Forbes built this team the way a modern coach builds a team now through the transfer portal. That kind of, you can turn it around very quickly. And, he's got a JUCO background, so he's used to kind of doing that every year, kind of like Kevin Keith does over at NC State, where you have to build that way. So, yeah, he got the right guys. Alondis Williams was, a backup at Oklahoma. He and Brady Manick played together, right? And all of a sudden, he gets the minutes, and look what he's producing. And the only thing I'll say about them, Wake, is they happened to catch Duke at a bad time. I mean, it was a game in Winston, sold-out crowd. It was electric atmosphere. Duke was coming off a loss. at home.
Duke was
and they changed their
PO'd.
lineup, and they were fired the heck
very
up.
focused.
So,
Yeah,
Yep, they were
that's unfortunate.
PO'd.
Wake gets another shot at Duke in Cameron, so we'll see what happens. I mean, they'll need to win that, but they can come in there and win. I mean, it can happen. So
I will say this too, that with Coach Forbes, I've got a chance to talk to him a bunch, especially last year when he first came in. He got a little bit of luck in that too, because Alonzo Williams was averaging 6 points a game at Oklahoma. There was no way to know that he was going to blossom into a front runner for ACC Player of the Year. But I heard something, can't remember what I was listening to earlier today, and somebody made a really good point. If you look at who may be first team All ACC this year, second team All ACC this year, where are the pros? Like, where are the pros that are in that 5 or those 10? There's
no prospects. There's no high draft prospects outside of Paulo Banchero. There's none of those guys.
And that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And that kind of describes the league right now, because it feels like the last time the ACC was like considered the best league was 2019. And if you look at that year, they had 3 number 1 seeds.
Yep.
Virginia won the whole thing. I mean, if you look at the first team and second team All ACC from the 2018-19 season,
they were lottery picks.
It's ridiculous.
Lottery picks
all over the place.
Yeah,
from Carolina, Duke, from Virginia. Virginia had like 3 first-round picks or something that year.
Yeah, DeAndre Hunter was on that team,
Yep.
So,
I mean, and now it's like you're kind of seeing that they're not here. So like you're getting games where you're going to get Miami come out of nowhere, or Wake Forest that was preseason number 13 or whatever at the top of the standings, like sniffing around first. It's going to be hard to pick a team to finish this out, because you really have no idea who's going to be playing like what from night to night, except for Duke. And even Duke had the close call with Clemson earlier in the week. Like, and I don't think anybody really thought that was going to happen. So
nope,
you really don't know.
And Duke, I know if we need to go to a break here, but Duke has 8 of their final 12 ACC games are on the road. They only have 4 home games left the rest of the season, because this Clemson and Notre Dame games got rescheduled from around Christmas time because of COVID till now. So, yeah, it trying to win a regular season title, you have to do it the hard way.
And Carolina had in reverse. I think the Carolina fans were worried they were losing some of those games, but they played like more road games than anyone in the ACC to this point. They're just now starting to get home games. So.
And they're better at home.
Around, and they're undefeated at home. So, you're going to see a lot of flipping around in the standings over the next couple of weeks.
Steve, if you want to stick around for this last segment where we'll get to the rest of college basketball real quickly, feel free to. But we got to get in the break. We'll also talk about a couple of teams in the area regionally that aren't being talked about enough. We'll get to that next.
You are listening to The Score with Brett Wiseman on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. You are locked into Tobacco Road Sports Radio's TGIF lineup.
Cause it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do.
I ain't set this up. I ain't know nothing about this. This is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Damn it. Hey.
Thank you. You're welcome. TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
The specials never stop at Blue Naples Pizza, an Italian restaurant. Every day, you get a large 2-topping pizza for only $11.99. On Sunday, watch football and enjoy our large 1-topping pizza and 10 wings for only $17.99. Plus lunch specials every day of the week. Blue Naples Pizza and Italian Restaurant, 1519 Union Cross Road in Kernersville.
This is Donald Ware, host of Box to Row. Steve White of NFL Network joins me. We'll also talk NFL Conference Championships right here on Box to Row.
From Press Box to Press Row with Donald Ware, Saturdays at 9 a.m. on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Welcome back to The Score with Brett Wiseman here on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
Back here on The Score with Brett Wiseman on this Friday afternoon on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Brett Wiseman joined alongside Desmond Johnson, and live from Louisville, it's Steve Wiseman as we get to, there's a couple of things I want to touch on outside of the ACC. I will say this before we leave the ACC behind. that there's a really big game, and for it to be on ABC is big for both of these programs. Virginia Tech and Florida State from Tallahassee. Virginia Tech, who lost on that half-court buzzer beater to Miami earlier on in the week. That's a big stage for both of those teams to stake their claim, as we talked about in that last segment of, okay, who's going to go after Duke? There's a good chance for both those teams to make that statement tomorrow.
Yeah, and I really thought that Florida State, until they stubbed their toe at Georgia Tech, which is just awful. That's a terrible loss. Thought they kind of had it figured out. They beat Miami twice. They beat Duke at home. Duke gets them again next month in Cameron. So, yeah, they were ready to go. And so, anyway, to your point about it being on ABC, this is their time. They've got to if they want to reestablish who they are. Virginia Tech is better than their record, but the record is they are what their record says they are, right? So
you are what your record says you are.
They're at the bottom of the standings. So Florida State needs to take care of business in that one, and that'll be a nice stage for them on ABC.
There's a few teams like Florida State, Virginia Tech, Miami, Wake Forest that are getting argued for getting votes in the AP poll. There's a team that probably should have been ranked a couple of weeks ago that is ranked this week. It's the Davidson Wildcats down in the 704. They're 16-3 right now overall, 6-1 in the Atlantic 10. That is quietly one of the best teams mid-major wise in the country, right in our backyard that not a lot of people are talking about. They kind of stubbed their toe similarly earlier on in the weekend in an A-10 game, Steve, but that's a team and a program that's been on the rise for a couple of years now, and they're doing some stuff here.
It has. Bob McKillop he's one of the best coaches in the country that hardly anybody really talks about. And he got some attention when Steph Curry was there. That was 10, 12, 15 years ago now almost. So,
right. Yeah.
So he's been there 30 years, right? From the early 90s is when he came there, and he just stayed, and he runs a great program. And think about it. He lost two guys to the transfer portal, Bates Jones, who's at Duke, and Kellen Grady, who's at Kentucky. He only lost them because Davidson doesn't have a grad school. So if you get down there and have eligibility left, you can't stay. I mean, I'm sure those guys would have liked to stay at Davidson, but they couldn't. Think how good they'd be with those two guys, right? I mean, so that's two experienced guys he lost, and he's still 16-3. So shout out to them, to the Wildcats. They're nobody wants to see them in March, that's for sure.
And if Appalachian State gets back there, that might be another team not a whole lot of people want to see. Look, I know I'm biased and all that, and look, and Steve, you saw him play at Cameron Indoor in December. As somebody who had to sit through the Jim Fox era of Appalachian State basketball, where I was one of the only 20 people in the arena, and that was as a member of the media, as a student, to see that student section full, them open up the top level of that arena for the first time in my life, it's a beautiful thing to see. And Dustin Kearns came from resurrecting a Presbyterian program to bringing this program back from the dead, and in his second year, taking him to the NCAA tournament, and now first place in the Sun Belt.
And now they got momentum, right? And you're justifying what you did last year, by coming out and doing it again. You're proving to people we're not a one-hit wonder or a flash. Like, we're ready to establish us to be one of the better teams in the Sun Belt every year. And so, good job on him. Yeah, they impressed me. I know, Duke won handily in the end. Like, that's going to happen at Cameron, athletes and all that. But they acquitted themselves quite well. And so they're good. Another team I want to talk about, UNC Wilmington.
Yep, is
another team from in the state that has a chance to get into the tournament. So we could have six or seven teams in maybe if things work out right.
Yeah, UNC Charlotte's kind of playing middle of the road in Conference USA, but there's three really, really good teams in Conference USA. Louisiana Tech, North Texas, and UAB. All three are really, really good. Remember, North Texas beat Texas last year in the NCAA tournament. Right. There's a marquee game, as there was last week, involving Kentucky. Auburn made their statement for the first time in school history. They're number one in the AP poll. But tomorrow, there's a lot riding further down the road. This is almost like a November game that's happening pretty much in February. And that's what's so cool about this, the Big 12 SEC Challenge every year is we get marquee games like this late in the regular season, We get Kansas and Kentucky tomorrow afternoon, and that could say a lot about which one of those two teams is a number 1 seed come a month from now.
For sure. And you're right. I kind of like this late in the year. The ACC Big Ten is in early December. One thing with this new alliance with the Pac-12, maybe we'll see something like this with the Big Ten and the Pac-12 or the ACC and the Pac-12 at this time of year, right? That's one thing that could, spawn, the alliance could spawn. That would be a good thing for basketball. But yeah, I do like, Kansas and Kentucky. I'm always at the Champions Classic because Duke's there, right? And so Kansas and Kentucky are also there. It's really cool when these programs get together. So now they get together not only in the Big 12 SEC, but in the Champions Classic every couple of years too. So they should play each other, two of the big titans in basketball. And Kentucky's got to prove, right? They lost to Auburn. They've got to show they can win this game and kind of get their season going on an upward swing again.
Yeah, you're totally right. And that loss to Auburn, yeah, that's kind of a gut punch, but I haven't seen that arena in Auburn that electric. I mean, the jungle, as they like to call it, was that place was rocking. We know Bruce Pearl is a polarizing figure, but I have to give credit where credit is due. He's done a tremendous job this year. But very quietly, I think the SEC is challenging for best conference in college basketball right now because of LSU's been really, really good this year. Alabama's been great at times. Tennessee is very quietly. Rick Barnes is very quietly got a top 15 program there. Outside of Kentucky or Auburn, there's probably 6 teams at the least that could come out of that conference and make the NCAA tournament.
Dare I say it, LSU can make a strong arts offer for a bid. Will Wade. Anyway, yeah, the SEC could get 7 or 8 bids this year, and
I think at the very least you get 7 or 8, and that with the Pac-12 being really, really good. The Big East is really, really good. The Big 12 is really, really good. The Pac-12 and the SEC both are the best I've seen them competitively as a whole, as a league, in probably 5 or 6 years.
Yeah,
I haven't seen the Pac-12 this good since Isaiah Thomas was still at Washington.
I didn't even realize Arizona was ranked in the top 5 until like yesterday or something like that. I think it came across.
USC was undefeated until 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
USC was number 5 in the country.
Is the Pac-12 just like top heavy? Because other than UCLA and Arizona, are there others? I think wasn't USC decent?
USC's, I think they're 15 now. UCLA they fell and they kind of came back up. Remember, that's a UCLA team that they just beat Arizona and they beat Villanova earlier on in the year too. Yeah. And Oregon behind them. Oregon's not out of the realm either. That's, as we know, that's always a competitive program. Got to say goodbye for this afternoon. Steve, thanks so much for coming on for us from Louisville. Hi, Uncle Scott. Have fun.
Okay.
Miss you. Alex Wober, thank you. Michael Davis, thank you. And thank you always to our producer, Desmond Johnson. Thank you all for listening. Lorna Shore on the mic will send us out. Have a great weekend and enjoy what's going to be a big Saturday of ACC hoops tomorrow.